Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be doing sort of a review for the first exam for the free response. All these questions will be part of it, and you'll be expected to know it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the problem. Medical researchers followed 6,272 Swedish men for 30 years to see if there was any association between the amount of fish in their diet and prostate cancer. Their results are summarized in this table. Okay. So a good strategy would be to pause this video, see if you could do all of these without any help, okay? Because that's what you're going to be expected to do on the first exam. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and solve these on the next page where I have more room, which is basically the same thing, just a little separate, or a little different. Okay, so the first thing that you've noticed in this distribution that I gave you that's missing from some of the other stuff is the totals. We have to get the totals to do all this stuff. Want to have the totals. Okay, I actually have them written down here. This problem was from the book. Almost done. This problem is in your book too, but and how many people total is 6,272. Okay, so now that we have the totals, we could go ahead and answer these problems. If you remember, the who is very, very important. Okay, what percent of men had prostate cancer? So men, all these are guys, all these are men. So the first answer is going to be 6,272. This is all the men, and then had prostate cancer. Okay, so out of all these men, how many of them had prostate cancer? Well, all these people right here, these all had prostate. You could just kind of filter this out. All these people had, so it's 466. That's the answer. Okay, let's look at another one. This is not a conditional probability. This is just I'm sorry, not probability, percent. It's just a regular, table percent. What percent of men with prostate cancer never, seldom had fish in their diet? Okay, what am I interested in? I'm interested in men with prostate cancer. How many people had prostate cancer? 466. Out of these 466 people, how many of them never, seldom had fish in the diet? 14. Pretty low. Okay, what percent of men had a large part of fish in their diet end up with prostate cancer? So I'm interested in the people who had large fish in their diet. Okay, large part, go scan all the way across here, 549. These are all the people that ate large amounts of fish out of the 6,272. Okay, so how many of these ended up with prostate cancer? Okay, out of these 549, 42 of them did. You should get real good at these percents. What percent of men had a small part of their diet made up of fish? What percent of men? Looking for men. So that goes back to like the first problem, 6,272. Out of all these men, how many ate small diets? Small part of the diet. This is actually one of our marginal distributions, okay, which we're going to be getting into next. Construct the marginal distribution for prostate cancer and fish consumption. So let's go ahead and do prostate cancer first. I'm not going to do these as bar graphs. I'm going to do these as tables. So prostate cancer, there's just two categories. It's either a no or it's a yes. Okay. For the no, all you have to do is scan all the way down here, over here, 5806 divided by the total. It's this divided by this. It's margins. The margins. Okay. What percent of people had prostate cancer? 466 out of these 10 people. Okay. So fish consumption. This has these have more categories. So I'm going to say never, seldom. Say small. Mod, large. Okay, this is it's the same thing, but instead of going to the bottom of the columns, we're going to go over to the rows. I'll change the color up a little bit. Okay, so it says, this question is saying is what percent of men had never or seldom had fish? So that's this top one, 124 over 6272. What percent of men had small parts of the diet? What percent of men had moderate? And large, not too many people. It's always good to, when you're doing your analysis and you're doing all this stuff, it's always good to look at your marginals first. Okay, in actuality, when we start doing real independence rules, you're actually going to find a marginal first and compare it to your conditional. You're going to find a marginal and compare it to your conditional. If they're the same, then your two variables are independent. If they're different, then they're not. That's how we do it when we get to the probability section later in the book. Okay, let's go ahead and do the conditional. So the conditional, I'm going to just draw this out. Never, seldom, small, moderate, and large. Let's go with a no and a yes. We'll have to play with these somewhat. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off with the first one, and here's where we have to think about the who. This is the one that kind of gets us, the who. Now, when I read this problem, I'm making a decision. Am I interested in who am I interested in? Am I interested in, okay, the percent of people that don't have prostate cancer that never ate fish? Or would I be interested in, say, something like this? The percent of people who had a large portion of fish, what's their chance of having prostate cancer? Or what's the percent of people who never ate it that had prostate cancer? Okay, so this is going to be our who. That's who we're interested in. We're interested in the people who ate, what's their chance of getting prostate cancer? So these are going to be row percents. Okay, most of the time you could kind of figure them out. So our row percents, okay, I'll do these as percent. So this is going to be, out of the 124 who never ate fish, 110 of them did not get it and 14 did. I think I have those numbers somewhere, so I actually don't. So I'm going to go ahead and pause and fill it out and come back. Well, I'll do the first one. Just so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so the first one's going to be 110 divided by 124. It's pretty high. So let's say 88.7%. Now the yes is just going to be the rest of it. So it's going to be what gets me to 9, what gets me to 9, what gets me to 3. which I did this on the other video, the little trick that I use. So I'm going to pause and come back. So that's our contingency table. That's our contingency table right there, and these were row percents. And I'll remind you once again, I did it because I'm interested in, out of everybody who had small part of a diet, how many of those got prostate cancer or not. Okay, I haven't done one of these side by sides in a while. Make sure you're comfortable with these. Make sure you're good at these. What I said before is to make sure the way I do it is I put the who's on the bottom. So this is going to be my fish consumption. So this is going to be never, small, mod, and large. Okay, so that's one of my variables. The other variable is going to be prostate cancer. So prostate cancer, that's either going to be a yes or a no. This is where you want to get creative, create your boxes, and color them in. Okay, so let's go never, never, seldom. Okay, let's get started, and we will say never, seldom, never, seldom had a no 88%, and down here 11%. I'll fill them in after. And my small, a little bit more than that, and my moderate was about the same as the other one. And the same here. And my large was about the same. And about the same here. So if you notice, you could always read these things. You could read these from these charts too. These are my yeses. These are my no's. Remember what the definition is. If they're the same across each one, then they are independent. Okay, so that's going here. Okay, so you could say, you know, the only one that's really a lot different. Let's just look at yes, because remember, you only have to look at one of them. You don't necessarily have to look at both of them. As you could see, this never, seldom is a little bit higher than the 7.7. But if you turn around and look at your marginal distribution, and you look at this percent, okay, that marginal distribution, that percent is only 2%. So you do have this increase here at this 11% right here, but it only accounts for 2% of your sample. Okay, it's only 2% of these people here. 124 is 2% of this. Okay, so the change is very, very, minimal, even though it's a little bit. Okay, so you could say the chance of getting prostate cancer is about the same for all diet, for all, let me say, for all categories, for all categories of fish consumption. Therefore, fish consumption and prostate cancer seem to be independent. So you've seen one that's not, and you've seen one that is. So that should be definitely be enough. Like I said earlier, if this is all total unfamiliar to you, make time to see me, please. Okay, thanks for watching and have a nice night or day.